Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I am your host. And joining me this week is my go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Joe Lever. Joe, how are you doing this week, my friend?
Mr. Joe Lever at your service, Jimmy Good. Feeling great, doing great. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I really appreciated the whole little hand gesture for people who are only listening. He kind of did one of those it was like a gentleman's bow.
Yeah,
it was very nice.
I was going to start off with the reporter in the field thing, but people don't really appreciate that as much anymore, I bet.
You know what, Joe? If we get one comment on this YouTube video that asks, or people say that we really want the reporter thing back, I think we should make it a mainstay. I bet people just would love it.
That's a good gag. It really ticks you off, and it's normally unprompted and spontaneous.
Yep, everybody loves it, especially me. Anyway, if you're joining us here for the very first time, welcome. For everybody who's joining us for the 141st time, welcome back. Basically, we talk movies. Yes, welcome. Basically, we talk movies, games, TV shows, anything in entertainment we want to talk about. And let's just start off with some of the newest news we could get this week. Not a lot of news.
Red Dead Redemption 2 online beta released.
Yes. But besides that, we have not played it. So hopefully next week, Joe, we'll be able to come back and make the show about the online and be like, hey, we actually played it. Now we can talk about it.
We'll be talking about it.
Yes, but we got some news about a franchise that's very near and dear to my heart, the Gears of War franchise. And Gears of War, the movie, is actually in the works right now, and they just picked up a writer, which is kind of interesting. So, Joe, get this. This is the freshest, hottest news. You won't even understand it. So F. Scott Fraser, who has done such films as Collide, which you might not know, Nicholas Hoult and Anthony Hopkins, but also XXX Return of Xander Cage, writing credits for both. So I think they picked the right guy for this, you know what I'm saying? Because of some of the writing, I guess, in Xander Cage, it's kind of fitting for what it is. And I'm not saying Gears is going to be exactly that way, but clearly he's written for action before a little bit. The funny thing about all of this, to me anyway, Joe, because this isn't, a ton of information to go off of, but the Wrap who reported on this is one of my favorite lines. People are getting really pissed about this. So they're reporting on it, and then to describe the game of Gears of War, Joe, they say, set on the planet of Sarah, Gears of War is a first-person shooter that follows a former POW who leads the human resistance against the Locust Horde, a race of creatures who emerge from beneath the Earth's surface intent on eliminating mankind. Now, if anyone's seen even 3 seconds of Gears of War, they can tell you that it is definitely not a first-person shooter. It is a third-person cover-based shooter. So, whoever was reporting on this was probably
shame on them.
They're probably typing it. Hey, man, I make mistakes all the time, too. It's just looking through the Twitter stuff, because Rod Ferguson, the head of the coalition, he is going to end up being one of the producers here. He retweeted this out, and you could just see all the comments or all the tweets saying, they're first person shooter, what the? It was whoever wrote this either looked at it and mistyped it, or just, I thought it was kind of funny. So hopefully this won't be a first person perspective movie like Hardcore Henry, and they're we wanted to be faithful to Gears of War and its first person roots. I mean, people will be no, but anyway, basically I tweeted at him, I said, hardcore R rating is a must. Seriously, you can't make this movie without making it rated R. I just won't have it. You can't take a chainsaw on a gun and go through someone and be we'll make it PG-13, we'll cut away. Right, Joe? It would kill you. It'd kill me.
Oh, no, you can't.
I want the brutality. And apparently they said that this might not necessarily follow the actual, games to the letter. It sounds like Dave Bautista has been kind of petitioning to play the lead role of Marcus Phoenix for a long time. I think he's definitely the physicality for the part. I don't know if he would actually fulfill the role as Marcus. It's so hard to take a video game character and make him into pick an actor and be you play that person.
Same way we looked at Venom and stuff.
Yeah, it's just too tough. But for you, Joe, I know that you're not the biggest Gears fan. You played a bit of Gears 4 with me. I think, do we play all the way through it? Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
For you, R rating for sure. I know 4 kind of had some scary elements in it too, but would you market this as an action horror movie? Trying to Overlord?
Kind of like that, or even more so Resident Evil.
Oh, Joe, That's a really good pick right there. I know that some people would say like the old school Resident Evil fans would be like, old Resident Evil's not action, it's mostly just horror. But now some of the ones have become like action horror-y.
Yeah, but for a story, you can't just be pure action the whole way through and through, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And if it doesn't scare you, what's the point?
Very true. Joe, is there any weapon and or monster that you can remember from Gears 4 that you'd be
Yeah,
like,
what's the big red laser drop?
Yep, hammer done. There you go.
Yeah.
I love the hammer. Oh god.
Yeah, it's
OP.
It's like, how can you lose?
I love that's such a like. I wonder if that's like a future weapon, or if we already have it. You know what? Like in
That's
real
a weapon
world.
of mass destruction, man. Bad juju.
I'm just saying, man. Those hammers, baby.
Yeah,
but
we're
anyway,
gonna start weaponizing satellites, and yours floated over Russia. Russia's pissed.
it was like, oh, you know what? That was an old. It was the last Pierce Brosnan. Oh God, what was it?
Yeah.
Die Another Day, and they had that, and the bad guy was going to take what was it called, like the Eye of Icarus or something like that, and it was like a big solar beam, and he was blowing up all the mines that kept North Korea and South Korea divided or something. He was going to blow them all up and then use it to like blow stuff up. Crazy movie.
All makes sense. Yes.
I forget if that was the name. But anyway, I like the Pierce Brosnan James Bond movies. It's basically what I'm trying to say here. So Pierce Brosnan should probably play Marcus Phoenix, like an old grizzled Marcus Phoenix who's got a weird British accent. I think that would be excellent.
You could put on a little weight. That's the thing about all the Gears of War characters. They're all
linebackers. Yeah. If you don't,
or linemen without the gut.
Yeah. Terry Crews would be an excellent choice for one of these guys.
There you go.
Coltrane. I forget the guy who actually plays or voices the Coltrane, but I think the guy who voices Cole might be perfect for it already. But yeah, we'll see. I just want to see a really good, and Universal's doing it, so there's budget behind this, presumably. As long as they don't go the dark universe route and like start it off and be like the Gears universe. I'd be like, whoa! If I saw that, I'd be standing up out of my seat. I'd be like, well, guess we're done here. I'm excited for this movie though. I want to know a little more. The casting obviously is going to be huge, and knowing which monsters they pick, I think, is going to be key to success for this.
As much as they can.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, what's that lizard thing that comes in and like eats you or puts you in its gut and runs away?
Oh gosh, that's a newer one. I know what you're talking about. It's got Snatcher. I think they call them Snatchers.
Yeah.
Wow, I just pulled that out of a file cabinet. All right.
Shut the drawer, Jerry. Shut it down.
Joe, if you could go back and play the first three, you'd see like the real, like the OG monsters. Oh God, it's like stuff straight out of your nightmares. It's so good. If I see a corpse around screen, I'll be like, yeah. So I just want to talk about that for just a second because it was just brand new news that I felt like I had to discuss. All right, next thing, Joe. Little movie coming up here called The Lion King. Have you ever heard of it?
Technically the lion isn't king of the jungle. Tigers are actually larger.
Well, the lions aren't going to be in the jungle because they're technically more on the African savanna, Serengeti. It's okay.
I'm glad we gave everybody a lesson in biology. We have an encyclopedia for sale in the CR store if you're interested.
I'm really excited for the live action Tarzan and then the crossover inevitably between these two things. I always wanted that when I was a kid. I will not stop about this. I really wanted freaking Simba and Tarzan to team up, man. That would have been so great.
Yes, Lion King was my favorite Disney movie ever growing up. I was a Lion King fanatic. It was the whole thing. Mufasa Scar scared the crap out of me. The hyenas, I never liked hyenas till I was older. But I loved it.
So, okay. So question for you. Would you say that, when's the last time you watched like The Lion King?
Years.
Okay. So it's been a while. Because I was going to say, I wonder if it holds up.
Grade school.
Joe, that'd be a fun commentary to do. It'd be fun to go back to that. It's been a long time. I saw it like a re-release in theaters a couple of years ago when they came out, just because like a friend wanted to see it. And I remember sitting in theaters thinking, why am I back here watching this? Like, I was like, this movie's not like, oh, it's on the big screen. For me, I was like, it's pretty good. I like Lion King as well. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Disney film ever, but we finally have a teaser trailer here. I think that this trailer does exactly what it needs to do. I think it's nostalgic. It hits the right notes. They also don't start immediately with the song. They kind of do the James Earl Jones, everything the light touches speech and everything, which is great. However, I think if you've never seen The Lion King, which is probably about 5 people, this would be the stupidest and weirdest trailer ever. You'd be like, what is going on? Like, you kind of would get a sense
They
of
don't
like
even
maybe,
worry about that.
yeah, but I just really like by itself, objectively, this might be a bad trailer, right? Because like,
Sure, but well, no, not even.
yeah, just don't know. I don't know because there's like a bunch of animals praising like they're carnivores, like or they're predators. Like it's kind of like it's kind of strange because there's a hierarchy they kind of establish in it, but also like because we know about that, right? Right. Obviously, this isn't for people who are first timers. We should say that too. And the animals
Yeah.
themselves look incredible. Like
Dude,
some of those
Jungle Book, eat your heart out. These guys look amazing.
yeah, and I love that it's Jon Favreau coming back again. Again, I just feel like Jungle Book was a proof of concept. I think he came in and did that and
He
was
did a
like,
good
I
job
could
with
do
it.
this. And then Disney was like, hey, do you want to do like Lion King, like the hardest thing to do? I think the thing that gives me goosebumps the most, Joe, from this trailer is when Mufasa's giving a speech and he's like, there's a time when my time will end, and they show the wildebeest stampede going into the canyon, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're showing just enough where it's like, oh my goodness, like,
Eventually Simba, he rises to dominance, right? And he has to fight his father for the pride and kick his father out and take over as ruler.
Yep, it's a classic tale where he's just like, for sure, full on patricide. They cut Scar out completely. They're like, why have another
In the
lion?
wild, it would be Simba fighting his brother to fight the father, kill the father, and take over the pride, right?
Maybe kind of. The weird thing is usually males, I think, go off by themselves. And originally, I think they had even said Scar was supposed to be an outside or external force that was going to come in and take over. The problem you have there is, first off, it's not as meaningful. Second off, you have to make Scar like jacked. Like you can't make Mufasa as strong because you have to have something. You can't have like some skimpy little lion coming and be like, well, let's go over this canyon. Like no one would trust him. So I think it was smarter to put him in there. And I just, you think back to it being, they called it, there's a little nickname called Bamblet because they were basically saying it was like a Bambi version of Hamlet that they were trying to make because, it's the whole uncle being a problem. But yeah, okay. But I've been talking about this a lot. What do you think of the trailer as Lion King was your favorite Disney film back in the day?
I mean, can they screw it up? The story's there. It's all there. It looks phenomenal. What's to worry about? I think great things.
Is there anything at all that concerns you?
Well, I know in real life, baboons.
Yeah.
Are nuts, mean.
Yep.
Teeth are this big, and they're letting it hold that lion cub. Dangerous.
It took me a minute because I was thinking like, okay, I know it's Rafiki, and then I thought, yeah, Rafiki is a baboon, but like because they took so many kind of like cartistic liberties with him, I never look at Rafiki as being a baboon anymore. I feel like he's kind of like his own thing. So when he showed up, I was like, who's that? It's like, get it out of there. And I was like, oh, it's him. Yeah. And also, I mean, like, what a perfect time to drop it. Thanksgiving weekend to just be like, and here you go.
Yes, sir.
We'll probably do a full video or a full episode about this coming up here, but looking at the Disney lineup for next year, there's so many crazy things that we will talk about, but the two things, this and freaking Avengers Infinity War Part 2, or whatever it is, Avengers 4, those two movies will rake in a $4 billion, just the two of those. Like, that's how crazy. It'll be like Disney's just getting all the money. There's like, hello, thank you. Like, they just, oh my gosh, this movie. And people, like so many people, like, who's asking for this? When you see the box office numbers, it doesn't matter who's asking for it. It's all about who's gonna go see it, because everyone's gonna see this movie.
Every kid in existence will go see it, and everybody that grew up with it as a kid will go see it, and the parents that had to get it for their kids when they grew up with it. It'll be a whole thing. Get in line early.
And as I always like to say, all of these things that you love are cash grabs. They are, but at least with Disney, it seems like they are it's not like they're not half-assed.
It's not blatantly dumb. It's not half-assed. Yeah, and it's worthwhile. It needed to be done. They're doing them all.
Well, sure, and I think that's where the argument can be made for people is they say, well, it doesn't need to be done. From a story standpoint, yes, it might seem a little bit lazy, and they might take some liberties with that. Look at Beauty and the Beast. They made some changes, some minor ones there, where they added some songs in from the stage play and stuff that definitely isn't in the original cartoon. Like they go to like
Sure.
Paris through the mirror or something, or like it's or whatever. It's kind of weird. So they'll probably do some of that stuff. I'm really I just thought of it. I hope they really play there's a hyena song in the stage play. Chow Down. I hope that makes it in. It probably won't, but that'd be a really cool song to have in this
I've
movie.
never seen the stage play, obviously, but
I don't know if I think I saw it once when I was really young, Joe. It was incredible. Like all the puppeteering and stuff and all the costumes were yeah.
okay. I know there was a Broadway version, which was
yeah. I'm interested, obviously.
Here's the thing: it's always been in the cards. Now we just have the technology to do it.
Yeah. Yep. And I know a lot of people would say too that like this isn't really live action because it's still animated, but this is as close to a live action Lion King you're ever gonna get. Because if you even tried to do it with real animals, like even if they're really trained, it just wouldn't. Just not gonna happen.
They would eat each other.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to just see that first, and they're like, "Hey, let's try to do Pride Rock first," and they're like, "No, no, no, no. How are we gonna have elephants and like freaking giraffe bow at the same time?" And you're like, "No, no!" Like it's just it would be. That is a PETA problem waiting to happen. So I'm interested to know what a lot of people think about this. I know some people are kind of just not interested at all, which is totally fine. These Disney kind of
sucks to be them.
Yeah, these Disney remakes don't mean much to them. I think, from if I'm Disney CEO, if I'm Bob Iger or whatever, this is easy money. And they're a business at the end of the day. And this is a really good way to not only get like to the kids, but also to, like Joe was saying, like nostalgia factor for everyone who's our age and up. And this is just a no-brainer. If Universal had the option to do this type of stuff, you bet your bottom dollar they'd be doing the same friggin' thing. Like they would just be. Netflix is already doing it. They're just like it's a continuation of your favorite sitcom. You know what I mean? Like everyone's trying to do this. So give it. And I think that Disney, after they do this first batch, a lot of people have theorized, Joe, that they'll just make sequels that are different, not necessarily like Lion King 2, but like maybe something with this and then just make whatever else, like, would you want to see that, Joe, where they take like this as the base and they're like, all right, let's tell a 3-part tale of Lion King, but different than what we've seen in the animated films before?
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I mean, people always want more, right? Some people, the highbrow, are like, oh, why even do this? The animated one is a classic. Leave it alone. I don't know. Expand on it more, make it even more than what it was or currently is, and yeah, it's good property for Disney, and growing that, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. I think people get angry too when they like change it too much. Like look at Maleficent, which is like the Sleeping Beauty story, but like from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And I thought they're trying to move forward on Maleficent too. So right there, clearly they're like, all right, well, we made one version that like did pretty well, I think, with money wise, but like not people weren't as crazy about it. Like between this and I think Aladdin, it'll be insane. Like Beauty and the Beast did bonkers. Like regardless of critical reception or people getting angry about the plot being reused, I think it just doesn't. Disney does not care. They're like, you're gonna see it. Everybody's gonna see it. Like, we got you, baby. And the quality is gonna be there from clearly this trailer. It's like, wow. Like
seeing it in a new light will be nice and help it to garner that adult audience as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think holding back on showing any of the animals actually speaking was smart because they showed the names, and not all the names are super good. Like when we were watching it together here, Joe's like, "Oh, Seth Rogen's in this." I was like, "Yeah, I think he's Pumbaa." It's not like a name you want to be like, "Seth Rogen is in Lion King." It's like,
no, I didn't have that reaction. I was just like, "Really?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, Pumbaa. That makes plenty of sense. Who's playing Timon?"
I don't know, but I know John Oliver, I think, is playing not Iago, Zazu, which I think is a really good casting. Which I forgot that Mr. Bean, the guy who does his voice, did the voice for Zazu way back in the day, and I was like, that was really good. Couldn't you have gotten him back if you got Mufasa back? That's all I'm saying. It's like if you get one of those old voice actors back, do you think? I just wait. Jonathan Taylor Thomas is waiting by the phone, like Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane. They're like, wait for it. And they're like, they'll call me. And they never did. Anyway,
James Earl Jones, good on you, guy.
yeah, there's just no way. I think it's like with Darth Vader, you just can't. You couldn't recast that role. You can't just be like, you know what? We're just gonna give it to somebody new, make it their own. There's like, nope, he's here right now. Mr. Jones, would you please just read off a few lines and make a lot of money? He's probably like, perfect. All right, Joe, hypometer, 0 to 100. Where are you feeling? How are you feeling about this?
I mean, I don't feel like I'm rushing to see it, just because I don't know. My tastes have changed slightly as I've grown older. So, I don't know. My hypometer is high for it. It's just, it's not Infinity War run to the theater,
Yeah, that's true, I suppose. So,
I mean, still, it's awesome. I give it a 9.
Okay. So it's still pretty hot. It's still sweltering. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll give like 8.5 or something. Yeah, for me, or 80. I'm excited to see.
That's all.
Well, it's pretty high. I mean, it's still pretty high. I just want to see this stuff in action. Like, how is the music going to work? And also, the one thing I can't wait to see, how are they going to have it look cool to have Mufasa jumping in and out of those wildebeests during that stampede, because he kind of jumps into it and he's kind of all over and stuff, and those wildebeests will probably run away from him, and that'll be all about the tech behind the scenes. Like, oh, the wildebeests see Mufasa and these 3 see him, and so they kind of veer off to the left, and these 2 see him, they veer off to the right. And I just imagine that would be it.
Does he get in there?
Huh?
They're in some valley.
Yeah.
And he throws Simba out, but he can't get out himself.
He throws Simba onto they get onto that dead tree thing.
Oh yeah.
And then he kind of gets him off to the side, and Simba gets up on the edge, and Mufasa he climbs up. He starts climbing up, and then that's when Scar is like, "Long live the king!" And it's like, oh my god. That moment is like, dang, Disney, that's harsh. Like, most of these deaths, like, I guess they do kind of cut away, but for the family deaths, it's like, oh boy, the villain straight up murdered the other character. It's like, wow. All right.
Totally.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm excited to see Scar too. I really want to see what they do with Scar. I love Scar. I think he's cool. He's a cool villain. Anyway, so yeah, we want to know what you guys think about the Lion King trailer, the teaser trailer for it. Obviously, we're going to get probably 1,000 more trailers for this before it actually comes out here in the summer of 2019, which, again, a pretty stacked year, especially for Disney. Holy crap. Yeah, it's just, I can't even, Joe. All right, Joe, let's move into the main topic of today's show. I've considered myself beaten it. I'm in the post game of it, but I have beaten Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. As you can tell, if you're watching, I'm wearing Pikachu's shirt. Is it using double team? Is it using agility? Is it using quick attack? Who knows? I don't know. It's having a good time though. It's smiling. But I want to talk about it here today because I've done a review in progress, which you should check out, and I should probably make a timestamp so I remember that I'm talking about this stuff right now. But basically, I want to talk about the game, do a little discussion of it. If you've never played these games before, there will be spoilers, but I would imagine most people who are playing these, probably this isn't their first rodeo, because that's kind of what this game is based on. It's like, you've done this before. This isn't something new. You haven't not experienced this stuff. And Joe's going to be along to ask some very hard-hitting questions.
That's a lot to ask.
The most hard-hitting questions, Joe. But yeah, let's jump right into it. I mean, I started with Pikachu because I had to, because that's how the game goes. Pikachu is kind of a main stay for this whole game, unlike previous games. As far as Pokemon Yellow, this is basically the remake of Pokemon Yellow, where Pikachu is just the one central character. I played Blue. My sister had Red. And I always looked at Pokemon Yellow, Joe, as being the rich kids Pokemon, because everybody had Blue and Red, And then if you got Yellow, it was so your parents rebought the game for you just for Yellow. And it felt so cheap because they give you you basically are Ash in that game. And I forgot Team Rocket's in that game because Team Rocket showed up in this game. And I was like, holy crap, freaking Jesse and James are here, as far as those two primary characters. But in that game, you get Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur. They're just here you go. Here are all those special Pokemon. And when you play Blue and Red, it's no. You get to pick one. Good freaking luck. So yellow is like, to me, it seems like more of a cakewalk because they just give you all these like really powerful starter Pokemon. So they're just like, here you go.
Damn shame.
It's a shame. But in this one, you can find Bulbasaur in the Viridian Forest. You can find Charmander and Cerulean after you've caught 50 Pokemon, which felt really weird to like be a Pokemon poacher, Joe, because I had to just keep catching friggin' Pokemon, even if it was the same Pokemon, because you can like up your combo meter if you catch a bunch of them, because it's very much like Pokemon Go, because that's how the catching mechanic works. And then for Squirtle, there was something else I had to catch certain different types of Pokemon, whatever it was. But yeah, so Pikachu. Anyway, back to Pikachu. Pikachu's your little partner. You can kind of decide how you look and how Pikachu looks. You can dress him up. I dressed
Has
up.
the voice of Ryan Reynolds, right?
Yeah, no, I hate that. I just really wish that whole movie. I want someone to make a Pikachu edit of that Detective Pikachu where every line of dialogue is just Pika, just like the whole like he's talking to it, and they just put subtitles in instead. But yeah, I dressed up myself as a Team Rocket member because you can eventually do that because it was all black and red. And I wore that for the rest of the game. And I had Pikachu do the same. So we were like Pokemon champions with a big R on our chest. we're the evil corporation. But it's the same. It's the same game pretty much. There's a few wrinkles here and there, like Pikachu. You can like pet it, and it likes you can feed it, and it becomes your HM slave. Because Joe, if you remember back in the day, you had to learn those hidden moves like Cut and Flash that were not super good in battle, but you had to use them to traverse, like to cut down a tree or to light up a cave. Which, if you ever think about that, Joe, like Flash is so bright that does it burn that image into your retinas? Because like not one like flash of a light would like keep a place lit like that.
I imagine it to be like welding. You never look at the light, right?
So your character's like,
and then you got to put potatoes on your eyes to get the flash burn down. That's a thing for those who weld. They'll know what I'm talking about.
I was gonna say, I didn't know that's a thing, but apparently it is. But basically it's that, you go through the Kanto region collecting your 8 badges. They threw a few wrinkles in there insofar as they have like Pokemon walking around the maps now, so there aren't random battles, which is nice. But if you're running really fast, sometimes they'll just spawn in front of you, so you sometimes still get that. But you can kind of pick your catching opportunities, because like I alluded to before, Joe, it's kind of like every Pokemon you see, you don't fight it, you just go catch it. You just catch it, Joe. And some are harder to catch than others, and you can use various berries and stuff to make them easier.
Why is it harder? Like you throw the ball differently to get them?
Yeah, there's that. Some Pokemon, because they're higher levels, depending on which type of Pokeball you use, will be harder. So if you use just like a standard Pokeball, sometimes it'll be like a little red circle that's going in, so that'll mean they're harder to catch. But if you use a Great Ball, it'll turn into like an orange circle. If you use an Ultra Ball, it'll turn into like a yellow circle. You want a green circle, basically. But if you give them different berries, it makes that circle turn like, one shade to the one you want. But like birds, for instance, Joe, they'll like move around the screen. Like they're moving around all the time, so they can be kind of hard because you're like, freaking thing. And a lot of Pokemon will punch back. So like Machoke that you like, Joe, he'll kind of like punch, and it'll be impossible to. So if you throw the Pokeball and it does that, the circle goes away and he kind of like knocks it away, and you're like,
do you have a Machoke?
I do.
Yeah.
I caught one just for you. I actually caught a Machop, and then I think I also caught a Machoke. So
Dude, now get him a champ.
I need to trade it though. I have to trade my Graveler too, because my team I don't have a Golem on my team, and I really want one. But quick side note: I have a Graveler, Charizard, Arcanine, Raichu, Golduck, and Nidoking on my team.
Charizard and Arcanine, I should have guessed.
I know it's doubling on the fire, and it's weird, Joe, because when I beat the Elite Four, I didn't really use Charizard that much. I was thinking about it. I was like, he is like a boosted Pokemon, Joe, because you can't find other Charmanders. At least I haven't. And the one I got from this guy, this thing levels so fast, Joe. It just levels up just all the time, because if you're not even using these Pokemon in fights, they don't get as much experience, but they still get some. And then every time you catch a Pokemon, and there are like different, like if you catch it on the first try, if you catch it with like a special throw, or if you use a barrier or whatever, like it brings up a combo meter, so you can get up like a ton of experience points just from catching them. So like catching a really like a bigger version of a Pokemon. I don't know if the tiny versions are like this too, because they'll have red will circle around them if they're huge, blue will circle around them if they're small. but you catch a bigger or a harder to catch Pokemon, and your whole team just leveling up, just like do 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 do. It's just like everybody's just like everybody calm down. You all learned something here today.
So Pikachu doesn't want to evolve or won't evolve?
Pikachu, the one you have, does not evolve. It wants to stay the way it's basically like Ash's Pikachu.
Yeah.
So that means I had to catch my own Pikachu, which happened to be female, which is totally fine with me. But the problem is, Joe, the Pikachu, the female ones, you see how it's a straight edge here for the tail? It's like a heart shape on the edge. So it doesn't look great. And then when it turns into Raichu, when it has that cool like lightning bolt on its tail, the point at the end of it's cut off. And it's really bad, and it bothers me quite a bit. And Raichu carried me through a lot of the Elite Four, but it really, really bugs me. I always look at it. It's like the lines don't make sense because it's like, look all these straight edges, Joe, and then it's like two curves right here, two bumps. Like, yeah, I get what you're going for, Nintendo or Game Freak or whomever. You screwed up. It's just not great. But Raichu, if anybody wants a quick tip for me, one big tip: get a Raichu on your team. You will crush most of the Elite Four. Like, oh my gosh. Because it's fast, it does a lot of damage, and there happens to be like a lot of water type Pokemon throughout the Elite Four. So like Lorelei's got some, like pretty much all of them, as you could guess, for the most part. I think Bruno had a Poliwrath, maybe. It's just good on Agatha because you go first because Raichu's just so fast and you can do so much damage in that first round. And then freaking Lance. Like, I thought Lance would be harder to fight, but because the first time I actually lost them, Joe, because I didn't buy enough like items. I just want to see how far I could get. But Lance had like a Seadra, and he had some Pokemon I wasn't thinking he was going to have. He had Seadra, he had a Gyarados, which I knew he had, but I just was like one-shotting these things because a lot of these fights can be determined in like one hit, like a lot of one hit kills in this game.
Wow.
Like once you guys just like boop bloop bloop bloop. I will say this though, the animation for Thunder is pretty good because it doesn't always hit, but when it does like a cutscene, like it shoots up to the sky and there's like clouds and stuff. It's like, yeah, especially Raichu just like powering up. That's really good. Also, early in the game, if you can get I got a male Nidoran. I'm sure Nidorina or the female Nidoran would do this too, but you get a move called Toxic, and Koga gives this to you later on too, Joe. But it's basically a poison move where you just poison them the first round, and it takes a little bit, and then it takes more, and then it takes more, and then it takes more. So like you can they lose like a half of like a health bar like each turn later on, and that is what I used to catch some of the stronger Pokemon. For instance, it didn't work as well on Snorlax because Snorlax would just sleep and then the poison would go away. But on Moltres and Mewtwo, Joe, I put Toxic on them. And even though Mewtwo could heal himself, he was still taking like half health. And there are timers on that. Because like I said before, Joe, it's like, well, you have to catch Pokemon. You just catch them. Well, for like Snorlax, the birds, and Mewtwo, you actually beat them in a battle first within 5 minutes. And then you get a chance to catch them. I was like, oh, okay. So there's a little bit of like, you still
have a Mewtwo, huh?
I did, yeah. He was the last thing I did, which I consider to be like beating the game. Level 70 for anyone interested. All of my guys were like in the 50s, so I was like, holy shit! So like Nidoking went out there. Nidoking's a poison ground type, and I was like, all right, Nidoking, you got to get this off, buddy. And so Mewtwo went first and used Amnesia, which like upped its special defense a ton. And I was like, okay, good, because if you would have used Psychic, it would have been super effective. Nidoking would have been dead. So Nidoking's like, Toxic, and then it just died in the next turn. So like my Pokemon are going out dying, and just like the Mewtwo's just like, and then like it's trying to recover and stuff. And finally I sent Arcanine out, and I used this thing called Flare Blitz, which is a new one to me, but it gets all this fire around, it charges, does a lot of damage, and then also has some recoil. So basically what happened is I had like half health. I did that, and the poison and stuff, all that together knocked Mewtwo out and then allowed me to catch it, which I did use the Master Ball on Mewtwo, Joe. And for anyone who wants to know,
you should.
Yeah, it's got the M on there for a reason. So if you bring out the Master Ball, Joe, it just shows a green circle like no matter what. But basically all you have to do, you don't have to even aim it. I just threw it out and it went to a cutscene. And the Master Ball went, spun up, and it hit Mewtwo's hand. Mewtwo knocked it away, and then the ball spun backwards and then spun forward, and then it was spinning there, and then caught him. And I was like, oh. I was like, I got you, buddy. Yeah, because I caught a Moltres with like an Ultra Ball, and I was like, I'm not going to burn this on anybody else because Mewtwo's like the one, right? And they have cool little cutscenes when you meet up with these things, the legendaries, because you like see them and then they do like a little like camera pan around and they kind of like attack you. And yeah, so it's a good test of skill a little bit. But Toxic, man, I also beat Lieutenant Surge's Raichu with Toxic too. It's such a good way to bring down like a giant, because like if you're early on and under leveled, you throw that on early and then you just watch them just every
Ghost
turn.
Pokemon, you got them or not?
I do have a Haunter. I was using him for a while, Joe. The only problem with Haunter, and now that I've realized this, I don't know if it's Psychic is strong against Ghost or just Poison, because Haunter is Poison. And they've got a bunch of fun little tricks, but I didn't really use Haunter later on just because the damage wasn't there with it. I hate tricky Pokemon, Joe. I hate being like, oh, I'm going to put you to sleep and then I'm going to do damage to you. I like just straight damage right away from the get-go. I don't like playing the games where it's like, oh, I'll paralyze them and then I'll do this thing and this. I'm just like, boom, blow them up, boom. Yeah.
I'm more into making things suffer. So, Haunter, go to sleep and then terrorize them.
Yeah, Dream Eater. Dream Eater's a good one. Yeah, let's see. The battling, I will say this too, it's pretty snappy. I was thinking back to Pokemon Stadium and how slow that game kind of feels by comparison now, but this one moves pretty quickly. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward though. They do kind of throw in the Mega Evolution thing at the end. It's weird. You have like two rivals, so you still have like Blue, who's like the son of Gary Oak, the son of Oak, who is Gary Oak. He's in there, but then you have like your own rival, which you name, and he's like the one who fights you all the time. And I thought that was kind of strange, but at the last fight that you have with him to like get the championship, he threw out a Pidgeot and he like mega evolved it. And I was laughing because like it didn't look that great. And it also got some fire type moves, but I had Raichu right away because I was like, I'm sure he's going to bust that thing out. So I'm just like thunderbolting the crap out of this thing. I'm just like, I don't care if you're mega evolved or Raichu's just going to wreck you. And I defeated him pretty soundly because if you have a Pikachu, he gets an Eevee. And then I don't know if this always happens, but he got a Jolteon. So I don't know if that was to counter my Pikachu because I stopped using my Pikachu. It was cool because when you use Pikachu in a fight, it'll jump off your shoulder and jump into the fight, which is great. But I wanted a Raichu. And basically anytime that Jolteon would come out, I just send Graveler out there or Nidoking. And I'm like, what are you going to do? Like, this is like nothing. Just wreck them. Just, oh my gosh. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so the fight's pretty good. They do try to mix up with two new kind of enemy types in a way. They have these coach trainers and these ace trainers. Coach trainers you can battle whenever you choose to battle them. They won't battle you right away if you don't want to, but they'll teach you a move after. They'll give you a TM, which you can use infinitely now. It's not like a one and done like it used to be in the old games. It's like a computer move and you teach your Pokemon as many times as you want, which is nice because you don't run out. And then they have these ace trainers, which are BS because they basically have Pokemon that are like your level or higher usually, and they always go first and do all the damage. And they're BS, and I hate them. I was like, oh, there's like one who had a Dugtrio that was like the fastest freaking Dugtrio, just Earthquaking everybody. I swear to God, Earthquake ground type moves are super effective against everything except birds. Like everything it's just.
You don't have any birds on your team, huh?
No, I don't. Pidgeot was the only one I ever liked, Joe. Did you like any bird type Pokemon? I never.
Dude, Moltres?
Yeah, I guess so. Do you like bird? You like Moltres? Is that your favorite legendary bird?
No, Lugia, of course. But
if Lugia were in this game, maybe it could be. I liked Articuno. I just thought Moltres looked too much like a chicken.
Oh yeah.
Zapdos is cool too. One thing I think is funny about both Zapdos and Articuno is that like their typing doesn't make sense. They're like flying, but then they're also the thing they're weak against. Like they would be like ice and flying. They're like, I'm not weak to ice anymore. Like lightning or electricity and flying. Anyway, but yeah, so those types of trainers there. But
so no Lugia, and it's only the original Pokemon.
Not completely. It sounds like from what I've seen or what I've heard, there might be other evolutions of Eevee. I think there might even be like an Alolan Raichu. There's a few, and there's like the Mega evolutions of some of those. So there's like Mega evolution of Charizard, which I didn't do. There's also
how is it different?
It depends on which one you get. There's one that's got like I think it's like a third horn here, but it's still orange. I forget what it gets a boost in, but I know that the one I prefer, the one you prefer too, is like it's all black with blue flames constantly coming out of its mouth. It's like Clearly, that's the one everyone's
Um,
talking about.
yeah.
Mewtwo also has that too. One is like it's shorter, but it has even more like psychic power, and the other one's like a psychic fighting Mewtwo. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like, I don't want to watch Mewtwo be like, I will punch you. It's like, no. Which brings me to my next point, Joe. Some of the Pokemon, some of them look really good, some of them look really weird. Hitmonlee is one that looks like they didn't take the right angle with it. Like there's something wrong with Hitmonlee if you look at them, and some of the
Yeah.
sizes are ridiculous. So Haunter, Joe, let's talk about Haunter for a second. Haunter's supposed to be 5 feet tall. All right.
Well, he's not really tall. He floats.
Yes.
So he's a rectangle about yay by yay.
But
5 feet by 2 feet.
Okay, if you busted him out of a Pokeball, would you assume that he would just follow you around? Because in this game, if you have them follow you, because you can have any Pokemon also follow you besides Pikachu, they either kind of run around behind you or you're like riding on them. Haunter was never a Pokemon I thought I would ride upon, but he's so massive when he's out of the Pokeball and not in an actual battle. Is it maybe because he's a gas, like he can kind of like expand? You're like riding on this thing like he's almost like a hot air balloon. Like you're laying on top of him, and he's just kind of like he's bigger than all the adults. Like he's
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's very scary. Yeah, and I love Haunter. Haunter's one of my favorites, but
yeah, I picture him more to be like the size of a king size bed pillow with 2 hands.
Yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, I go off the show, which is probably not fair because that's like the standards for me. But like if you look at these things, like a Mewtwo, I looked at it, he's like 7 feet tall, so he'd have a foot on me. I'm like, what? Like, I was like, I love you, Mewtwo, but I don't imagine you'd be like.
I would bet on like 6 feet tall.
Yeah, I'd say he's a straight up humanoid, like maybe tallish human, but not like he's not playing on the basketball teams or anything, you know. Like, he'd be a great basketball player though.
Maybe in intramural league.
Not even then, man. He's too tired. He'd just sit on the bench and he'd just be like putting the ball through the hoop again and again. He's just like, yeah. But basically, like I said, kind of a remake of Yellow. It's fun. Again, I really stand by this. It's really good for first timers and people who are nostalgic about this. But if you're really, really hoping for like something brand new here, you're not really going to get it. It's exactly what you would expect from it. There's not really any big changes or anything. There are a few
the looks and the quality, great.
All there. Oh, and thank you for bringing that up, Joe. The music, they've like redone the music. It sounds like a full orchestra. I don't know if it is or not, but it's every track is like pitch perfect. They really didn't spare expense on that, and I really, really appreciate it because for a game that's mechanically pretty weak, they really spend a lot of time on, you know, the visuals besides like some of the Pokemon, like I mentioned, but it all pops. It's very warm and friendly. A lot of nods to the original games, but the music is like, ugh.
So what I want out of a Pokemon game, when I battle, I want to control the Pokemon.
Yeah, I know. Me too, man. I've been wanting that for years. I know you'd run out of like power points though, because you'd only have like, you know, what is it, 15 flamethrowers or something, so you'd miss it. Like if you, but if you, yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be really cool. I agree with you.
It would.
Yeah. Let's see. It took me a little over. It was like 26 hours, I think, altogether. For like, you know, doing that. I still have to catch 2 more of the birds, and I know there's a few other special trainers out there in the world for me to take on some hidden stuff too that I won't ruin here. But yeah. I'm trying to think overall though. I just think people would be disappointed if they're expecting more, and I don't think anyone was expecting more. I think this would be just like if I could go back and tell like young Jimmy that like this was coming, he would have been stoked. He'd have been like, "What? Like they're coming?" And they like they use all the same like battle cries from the old games, and the noises from the actual attacks are the same, even though they utilize some of the assets for like Hydro Pump and Hyper Beam. It's like Hydro Pump is like blue, and they do like the same thing. And then Hyper Beam is yellow, and it's like the same like camera angles and stuff, but you can hear like when they use Psychic, it's like the old Psychic song or the little noise it would make. And yeah.
Give us an example, Jimmy. Make the Psychic sound.
It was like, it's like like that kind of thing. It's just like that.
Okay.
Also, they have some new typing in this game, which is good and bad. They've added like fairy typing, dark typing, steel typing, stuff like that. So like Wigglytuff is not normal type anymore. It's like a fairy type.
What's dark type?
Dark typing, so like they're like dark typing moves and stuff. I know Haunter could learn a bunch of those moves. I don't know if there were any Pokemon though that were dark type that I knew, like in the original 150. Because like Houndour is like dark and fire or whatever, or fire and dark.
Sweet.
So
why I like them.
But basically what that meant, Joe, is that for like Magnemite and Magneton, they're steel typing, and that means that when I use a fire type attack on it, it's super effective. Because back in the day, it was just like it wasn't, but now it is. So it's like, because those things are like so annoying to deal with. I'm just like, bye. And now that I know Psychic is strong against Poison, I don't remember that. Why I didn't remember that. One other cool thing I love too, Joe. Most all the gyms look super cool. They actually have like spectators watching the fights, and so it's a really cool like realization of some of these places. However, they ruined the only gym I really care about, and that's Cinnabar Island. My favorite island, my favorite gym in the game, the fire gym. It's supposed to be a volcano, right, Joe? Back in the old game, you go through these rooms and you'd have to answer a question because like trivia. If you got it wrong, you had to face whoever was in the room. If you got it right, then you could just go into the next room. And this one, they make it a quiz show. So if you don't screw up on any of the questions, you go right to fight Blaine, and it's just like you're on a TV show, basically. You ruined it. It's like the coolest freaking gym. You could have made it in a volcano in this game. You could put it in a volcano, and you didn't do it. You're killing me. Like, oh, it was so wacky. Blaine was so wacky. It was like, oh.
How'd you beat Blaine? What did he have?
What do you have? Magmar, Rapidash, Arcanine, and Ninetales.
Ninetales, cool.
I picked up this really stupid cheap move from from freaking Misty, because Starmie in all these games sucks butt. All right. Starmie in the first game had Bubble Beam. Starmie in Fire Red, when they redid it, it was Water Pulse, which did a lot of damage and would confuse you. In this game, Joe, it had Scald. Scald is like a super powerful water gun that can also cause burning. The first time I got hit with it, I got burned, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like a fire and water move? I was like, Starmie's just like, yo, screw your game, man. I'm making like a water lightning move next. So anyway, I got Scald. I put it on my Golduck. I was just like running through the gym. I'm just like shooting these high-powered water jets that were like super hot, just wrecking these guys.
Against a fire type, that's really it's still water.
Yeah, it's just a water move that can cause burning. Isn't that BS, man?
Yeah, but how does the burning mean anything to a fire type?
Sure. No, I don't know if I caught any of them with the burn. It could cause burning. It's like a flamethrower. It can cause burning. So it didn't always cause burning, but yeah. Golduck, by the way, I love Golduck. Water and psychic type. I gave him psychic and confusion. Sorry, psychic and Psybeam. He had confusion, but I gave him psychic. And then I have him have Scald and Blizzard as well. And he's pretty good. He does a lot of work, and he's supposed to be my Bruno killer for the Elite Four, because Bruno's got like a rock. He's got like Onyx, but he also has like fighting type Pokemon. But Golduck isn't the fastest, so if those fighting types get a Thunder Punch in or two, it's lights out for old Golduck.
Did anybody have a Machoke that fought you?
I think maybe some people had a Machoke, but I know Bruno had a Machamp, so he had like came out with like he's a big.
What was it?
He's tough. He was the first time through, he was one of the guys that I was having the biggest problem with, because after I lost Golduck, I was like, all right, now I just have to kind of do like full, just flat damage to him. I'm not doing any psychic moves to you. Yeah, he was tough. Let's see what else. Let's see. I have these things on here. The world overall, though, I mean, pretty much what you expect. It's kind of, it's fun to go back to that old map and kind of know, like the game kind of leads you, like after you beat the Elite Four, they're like, hey, like you're the guy, I call him Astro. I don't know why I call him Astro, but
yeah, what's left to do after that?
Well, after you do that, your rival comes to you and they're like, hey, I heard like a crazy strong Pokemon is like went to the cave in Cerulean, and I already had known that, because I'm like, yep, that's, that opens up right after that. They also have these trainers that are dotted around the world that have specific Pokemon that they say, like the first one they tell you is like, go find the Pikachu trainer in the Viridian Forest, and they only have like, I think like one Pikachu, and you get to pit your Pikachu against them, no items, no other Pokemon, and you just have to beat them, just like in a straight up match, just fight them. So I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. There's that. And also it was weird at the end of the game, Joe, they're like, Dragonite, Aerodactyl, and Charizard, when you bring them out of their Pokeballs, I don't know if Pidgeot's the same way, but you like ride on their backs. they're like, those 3 Pokemon can fly anywhere now. And I was like, what? I was like, because like fly in this game, Joe, is not how you fly around to get to a new place. It's like Pikachu's little balloon vehicle that you use that you get somewhere. So I was like, oh, so I tried to like fly off the map because I was like, maybe I could just cut straight through the map. And I was like, no, you cannot do that. But maybe I can fly like over water or something now. It's if you want to avoid trainers, you could. That's a great way to do it. Is get on a flying thing and just fly. You go way high in the sky and you're like over the top of them. Joe, do you have any other specific questions about the game? No.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, still a classic version, just a little finer, done in a more fine fashion.
Yeah, I'd also say too, if you want to play, there's drop-in, drop-out co-op. So if you have someone who's their first time, or you have a child that wants to play this, definitely do that. It makes you incredibly powerful because basically that person just runs around next to you, can't interact or talk to anybody, but every time you battle, it's always a 2-on-1, even against the gym leaders. So you just show up, and it's like if you have 2 Pokemon that are strong, it's just like they both just show up and they're like, "Hey, want to fight?" The gym leader's like, "That's totally fine, whatever." So way easier to take on gym leaders if you are just like doubling up right away. So I'd recommend that you do that if you want to teach someone how to play the game. Overall, great, fun game, really fun to go back. I enjoyed it. I found myself one of these nights recently just being completely enthralled with it because I just knew the next like 5 steps, or 4 steps I had to do. And it goes by quickly, random battles being out and all that. The catching thing is a little weird to me, not grinding to like beat a bunch of Pokemon, just catching a bunch and then sending them to Professor Oak and then getting specific candies for that Pokemon. So it's like I catch 5 Onix and I get Onix candies, and then I can give them to my Onix and Onix gets stronger. So that was kind of weird for me. Overall, I would say personally, I give this game like an 8.5 out of 10. It's good. It's solid. It's nothing more than you'd expect. And
it's pretty good.
Yeah, mechanically, again, it's pretty. It's
rudimentary.
It's nothing crazy. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, man, it was just like blew my mind. It's almost as good as it could be, I think. But there are some things that I feel they could have pushed it a little further. It does definitely seem like the trying to kind of get ahead of people when they get angry about whatever Pokemon is going to be on Switch eventually, because they'll be like, I wanted the Kanto, like the Gen 1, and they'll be like, well, we have that with Pokemon Let's Go. And the whole mobile elements to this game, which I didn't really partake in. I went over there, which made me really sad, Joe. They got rid of the Safari Zone in Fuchsia. And I used to like go in there because you could, catch like Kangaskhan and Scyther and all that type of stuff. But now it's like where you go to like Pokemon parks and you can bring your Pokemon from Pokemon Go and put them in this park and then go visit them and then maybe I think take those Pokemon and then use those Pokemon in the game. I don't know. It got really confusing, and Jesse and James even made a joke about it at one point, and I was like, all right, no thanks. Yeah, but the gyms, man, those are really the highlights for me, seeing those actual gym leaders in the space and how they utilized it and made it look like a real cool place. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10 for me, which is pretty good.
A good question on there. Well, okay, for some reason it's popped into my mind. You're talking about Nidoking.
Yeah.
What's the black rhinoceros one? Rhino.
Rhyhorn?
Rhyhorn?
And Rhydon?
It's like the gray version on 4 legs, and you get the one that's more bipedal and all big and triceratopsy looking.
Yep. Rhyhorn is the one, the quadruped, and then Rhyhorn is the one that is the biped. And they even say like the Rhyhorn develops more like higher functioning brain when it actually goes up on its 2 legs. It's like smarter. And it's high to strong enough to withstand lava, which you can see back in the actual anime. They that's why Blaine brings one out inside the volcano. He's like, yeah, Rhydon can withstand like lava and stuff, something like that. I love Rhydon.
I thought it was a cool Pokemon.
Also, I think maybe I mentioned it once on here, Joe, too, but the statues in the beginning of like the gyms and stuff, there's some other images around that maybe allude to the fact that Rhydon might have been the very first Pokemon that Game Freak and the guys who actually made Pokemon like came up with. Like he was like the first design that they came up with. So it's like a rhinoceros on 2 legs with a drill for a horn.
Has this game inspired you to bust out the old Game Boy?
No. I mean, this honestly from now on, like I was playing it's like Heart Gold last summer or something, and I was like, that was pretty good. And I cannot stress this enough. Let's Go Cyndaquil or Let's Go, gold and silver version will come up next. Like, it's just gonna happen because I think this made crazy money. But I don't think it's gonna make me go back. I think this will just be like the new entry point. And I'll be honest with you guys, I played docked the whole time. So I played with just like the one Joy-Con because that's all it supports. So I don't know if this is probably decent on the go too, but I just wanted to play it on my TV because I never have had the chance before to play basically yellow version or blue or red version on a television like this.
Did they have Pokemon on the DS?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. They've had, oh my gosh, so many. Every DS has had Pokemon. Tons of them. Oh my gosh. So they'll just keep remaking these, Joe, just like Disney. They're just gonna. Why wouldn't they? If people are buying them like this, going like hotcakes, makes sense to me. Any other questions there, Joe? Before I wrap it up here on Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
Not really. Not really. You gotta get that Black Charizard though, man.
I want to, yeah. And there are some challenges in here. I kind of I thought it was going to be a cakewalk, but even though your Pokemon are all leveling up all the time, there is still something to be said for those ace trainers. Sometimes they come out of nowhere and they just wreck your whole team before you can do anything. Lots of insta-kill deaths, so be careful.
Like one-hit wonders. Confused on where to go or what to do next?
See, that's the problem, Joe, because I knew exactly where to go like all the time just because of my past. No. But there are some different ways you can take, like when the world starts to open up a little more and you get the Poke Flute, you get some options. And there was a portion of the game I was wondering, Joe, if like all the trainers constantly scaled to my level. But I did find a place that when I went down to Fuchsia, I went from Celadon and went down the old bicycle path, which is just called like the Pokemon path now. So you can still fight people there, but you don't have a bike anymore. The bicycle song can be heard in the tunnels, though. So if you go in the tunnels, which are great, the little like, not the actual like rock tunnel, but like the little
man, I don't remember any of this, man.
Oh, don't worry about it. But anyway, I went down a different path there, and then I went back up another way, and all the Pokemon were like 15 levels lower than I was, or 10 levels lower than I was. So I was like, all right, cool. So this was leveled for me at this point. I should have maybe gone that way first down the docks to Fuchsia from like Vermilion kind of, but I was like, nope. I went this other way, and then I came back and I just crushed all these other trainers. I'm like, hey, fought pretty much every person I could possibly see. So, cool game. I'm excited. If they make a silver and gold version, I probably would be interested in that too. But I don't think I'd fly through it as quickly as this one, just because this was a nice little trip to memory lane. Yeah, Lugia's great, dude. I love Lugia.
Who is the poster child for the gold one?
Ho-Oh, the other Firebird.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought Ho-Oh had a better design, like a fire turkey. Cool games. And the legendary beasts too, which are in there. They're not the cats, they're beasts. All right, everybody, look it up. But like I said, like Remake Yellow has Jesse and James in it, has some other things. Also Giovanni, pretty great. Love seeing Giovanni, and the way they show him off in the final gym battle is really cool. It was like, oh, this looks great. It makes way more sense than in the old games. Like, who's the gym leader? And I'm like, he's right. You can see him over there, and they're like, oh, who could it be? It's just like, yeah. Also, you're like a 10-year-old who left and like became the best Pokemon master in the world. So like, if anyone beats the Elite Four, I guess you're gonna be there, but you're just like living with your mom. You know what I mean? Like you're just kind of at home at the end of the games. And your mom, the only thing she says to you, she's like, looks like you're enjoying your journey with your Pokemon or whatever. It's like, that's all she'll say to you. It's like, Mom, I'm the champion of the world. She's like, that's nice, dear. Like, it's like,
shut up, Mom, I'm cool.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I do wish they had some voice acting. I mean, they didn't really have to do it, but there's a lot of just like...
It's all just subtitles?
Yeah, all subtitles. Yep. Yeah, they didn't. I don't think they did.
Can you go fishing?
Pikachu's voice acting. Joe, I don't know if you can get...
fishing for Magikarp or anything?
You just have to get in the water and they'll spawn. Yeah.
So you don't have a Gyarados yet?
I don't think I do. I think I caught a Magikarp, though. Yeah, which would be so easy to level up to a Gyarados now, because not only do you get a bunch of rare candies, but like throughout the game, but because they constantly level, because when you catch their Pokemon or when you battle their Pokemon, they're not even out there. They will get more experience if they see battle, but at the same time, they still get some. It does feel so weird, though, Joe, to have a Pokemon level up if they A, haven't fought, or B, we just caught a new Pokemon, and they just like, you're like, hey, somebody's evolving, and you're like, why why are they evolving? And they're like, well, because they got some experience from something at one
I
point.
didn't tell them to do that.
Yeah. But there you go. There's my Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu review. I didn't get Eevee because I wanted Pikachu. All right, so I know everybody loves Eevee. Eevee's great. I think it's cute. I'm just not like a super big Eevee fan. And the coolest thing to me about Eevee has never been the first form. It's the fact that you can change it into a bunch of different Pokemon. And then you take that away from it in this game, and you're like, you know what I'm saying, Joe? Like the coolest. It's like if you took Transform away from Ditto, I'd be like, well, great. Now he's got a pink freaking blob. Like it's there.
It takes the cool factor out of it.
Yeah, that's just for me. I know a lot of people would disagree and say that Eevee's just the cool thing about it is that it is cute, which is fine. I just think
disagree.
Normal typing like that. I'm not beating the Elite Four with that personally. I'm like, yeah, that's just me.
No, sir.
Got my Arcanine, and I got Arcanine to Growlithe to level 40, and then evolved it. And then Nidoking, I waited till it was a level 50 Nidorino, and then I'm like, all right, now you get the stone. And I was like, oh. By the way, last thing, not all items in this game are in those little Pokeballs you find on the ground. If you look at your Pikachu or Eevee, if they like wag their tail, I'm sure Eevee does that, but Pikachu does that. You'll just like click a bunch around on the ground, and you will find something. Because I didn't find Moonstones, Joe, until I went later on to this. Felt really weird, but you had to go into this like little girl's room in Saffron City, and she loves Clefairy, and you find out if you show her a Clefairy, she freaks out about that and gives you something. But there's also a Moonstone like in her closet that you can just take. I'm just like, well, I'm taking this. So later,
What do you do with the Moonstone?
You can use that to evolve, I believe, a Clefairy to Clefable. I think Jigglypuff into Wigglytuff. I could be wrong on that one, but also a Nidorino or Nidorina into a Nidoking or Nidoqueen, respectively. Mm-hmm. So you need that because I wanted a Nidoking, which Nidoking looked pretty good. There's some little messed up about the jaw. The jawline was weird on it. I noticed these things. I've just been staring at these designs for like 20 years, you know, like I'm going to be critical about those. I'm like,
of course, yeah.
Even Cloyster's eyes looked a little weird.
The cartoon really set the baseline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That cartoon. Anyway, yes. So I recommend it again if you're a first timer. If you have someone who you're trying to teach the game, or just super nostalgic for it. But besides that, I'd probably wait. And I would say if you're not really crazy into it, just Pokemon in general, do not pick up this game for $60. I think at a $40 or $30 price point, this will be something that is much more attractive. And it's always going to be there. It's not like, oh, everyone's playing it right now and they're all going to stop. It's like, no, they'll have this for a while. Like, don't worry about it. It'll be there. Also, I got to trade. I got to get my freaking Golem. I want a Golem so bad.
Who else has it that you know?
Some other people. I just have to get my internet. Like, my internet for some reason wasn't supported on the Switch, so I have to, like, call somebody or something. So it's like, it didn't, like... Switch is weird about its Wi-Fi settings, so it's like either that or I have to buy a little dongle to get like a direct connection. And I was like, oh god, of course, Nintendo, of course, is going to be weird about this. So here we freaking go. Smash Brothers, that's going to be problematic because I have to download that game. Anyway, Joe, it's time to move on into that segment of the show that I like to call. You like to call?
I believe that would be Timekillers, Jimmy.
Oh my god, he did it without anybody having to ask him for it. And that's the games we've been playing, the movies we've been watching, the TV shows we've been viewing. Joe, besides Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Blackout, what have you been consuming?
That's about it. Rewatched Mission Impossible. What was the latest one called again?
You watched Fallout without me?
Dude, yeah, so good.
Yeah, isn't it though?
Yeah. Really good.
Okay.
Watched it with the family. My dad enjoyed it. My mom was kind of indifferent. Haley likes it.
Oh, if your dad loved it, then I love him even more. Oh, God.
Yeah. Other than that, Blackout only. Sorry.
Have you been... Is that what you did on Thanksgiving night? You just hung out with the family and watched Mission Impossible Fallout?
Yeah, later in the evening after dinner and whatnot. And I saw you hit me up that night, and I was playing Red Dead. But
yeah, I'm sorry.
The living room where I was playing was kind of near my parents' bedroom. I didn't want to get, jibber jabbering and wake them up.
Sure, I didn't know if you had your headphones or not. So I was like, maybe he saw the first one, maybe he didn't. So I said a second one. I was like, if he doesn't respond to that, let's chill.
I only had little iPod or iPhone headphones, and I don't even know if it would have worked.
That's fine. Cool, man. Well, yeah, this movie holds up, right?
Yeah, yeah, amazingly.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been a few months, but still, like,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the way they, somebody made a really good point about that series right now too, Joe, is that like in most of these other big blockbusters, there's a lot of like CGI stuff, like monsters and bad guys fighting each other, or heroes that are all CG. But like that movie does its darndest to be like, nope, they're all real all the time. These
I
are
would
regular
like to
people.
say at the end of the film, the helicopter thing, there were a couple moments,
Yeah,
especially during the crash, watching it on high definition, it was like, wow, I can really, yeah, like you couldn't like really see it, but if you were paying
yeah.
attention, it was like, yeah, wow, okay, yeah.
It's for dramatic tension. I mean, like they have the two helicopters like in that thing, and they had the hook, which is clearly
That
CGI.
looked good because it wasn't such fast motion, but the actual like crash
Oh,
portion,
sure, yeah, yeah. Man, I love those movies, and I know people don't like him, but I really like Tom Cruise. He is Ethan Hunt, man. Like when you watch that, there's never a question. You're like, is he really
yeah,
acting? Is just like, no, he is like that guy.
yep.
Yeah, yeah, great movie. Joe, you forgot one though. Something we watched together. We watched Lego's Indominus Escape or whatever. So the Jurassic World version of that movie, but Lego version. 24 minutes. Pretty brief. Had some pretty funny little bits in it.
It almost made fun of the movie itself, and the voice acting was actually some of the actors that played the character.
Got to make that sweet cheddar, baby. I understand. Yeah,
Even Bryce Dallas Howard did her own voice,
yeah, which is
and
great because they made her do jokes about the movie as the character. I
it was
think.
making fun of itself. I don't know.
Lego's always been that way, but like they did push it a little bit, like kind of using the little gyrospheres as soccer balls for all the dinosaurs was kind of like the big
Yeah,
joke. It was like,
it's like this is how it would have really gone.
yep, no, it's true, it's true. Yeah, but besides that, just stunning film, which had a few funny moments. I'm trying to think of what else besides
We did
Pokemon.
watch Fallen Kingdom.
We didn't we do that like 2 weeks ago though, or a week and a
Yeah,
half
did we
ago?
talk about that though?
I
I don't
think we
know.
did.
We
Yeah, we said
slaughtered it.
we ripped it apart.
We
Yeah,
minced
I'm
it up.
let's wait like 6 months and then do the commentary on it because that way because we'll just keep going back to it.
The only good scene is the opening act.
Yeah, that opening scene is the opening scene, that opening bit is the only good part. Besides that, Pokemon finishing up Dragon Quest 11 got to credits, but there's like even more post game. That game I put out a full big like review and discussion on that, so you guys should check that out if you want to. It's like 37 minutes of me talking to camera with some gameplay interspersed. So that was fun to put together. What else? I have not even touched Darksiders 3 yet, but I need to get, so hopefully next week I'll be like, I played it. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, I gotta do that, beat Assassin's Creed, and keep moving on with my life before Just Cause 4 comes out and I blow up everything in that game because that's my catharsis. It'll just be blowing stuff up. Oh god, Joe, I wish I had co-op so badly. Oh goodness, you would love this game so much. You'd just be like, blow everything up, and be like, yeah, that's all the game is, man. The game's happy when you're blowing stuff up. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I feel like I watched a movie. Oh, I still have to finish it. I have to finish Upgrade. Joe, I started watching Upgrade. That movie that's like about the guy who gets like
Yeah, guns in his palms or something.
The bad guys have guns in their palms. He doesn't have that. He's basically it's like a Venom. It's like Venom. But it's pretty good. It's a little bit more of a budget film, but I really enjoyed it. I think you would enjoy it too. It's pretty quick too.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I still have to finish like the last little bit of it though. I was like, so Upgrade. There you go. Excellent. Oh, also, I've been watching Yu-Gi-Oh from time to time. I don't know why. Like that game, like they'll just put freaking a new season of it on Netflix. I'm like, yeah, I'll pop it on in the background. I'm like, I never made it to
Still
this part.
going?
No. It's all wrapped up. It's just that like Netflix like got like the first season or two, and then they're like, all right, we finally got the third and fourth season or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, it does have a finale though, and they have like spin-offs and stuff. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, not a bad show. The beginning of it.
Yeah, what was it? Summon Skull and Red Eyes Dragon.
Dude,
Created, what did it create?
Was it Red Eyes Black Dragon? Or no, it was Red Eyes Skull Dragon.
And Summon Skull created.
Yeah, was it?
It was a crazy badass
Black
monster.
Skull Dragon.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah, right.
Skull
Wasn't
Dragon.
it like almost OP? And didn't it kill Blue Eyes?
So basically, yeah, Black Skull Dragon. That thing had 3,200 attack points, if memory serves. I'm looking this up. This is live, baby. Yeah.
And Blue Eyes alone only had 2,000, but when you combine
3,000.
but when you combine them all together for the three-headed one, what did it do?
4,500. It could shoot like 3 times or some BS like that. That was back in the day, Joe, where you didn't have to sacrifice. You could just throw out whatever you wanted. That Black Skull Dragon was really cool, and I think you see it in like a few fights at the end of Duelist Kingdom. But remember Red Eyes Black Dragon being one of my favorites because it didn't have a ton of like attack points. But it's just
kind of middle of the road, but still higher.
Yeah, it was. What is it? It's 2,400. It was one under the Dark Magician, but I loved it because every time Joey would use it, it played like some sick guitar riff, and it was like the rock star of like the monster world. It was like, and I was like, yeah.
But it's also like devilish and badass.
Yeah, dude, it's so cool.
Summon Skull was always one of my favorites.
Yugi barely uses that anymore. And then like in the second season, Joey gives Red Eyes to Yugi, which I always loved because Yugi has always had like a mythical monster deck, and I thought that Red Eyes fit in it perfectly. And I was like, oh god, that's so cool, man. Like I love that you have some like a dragon in there. He had a few dragons, but yeah, I love Red Eyes Black Dragon. Summon Skull though was one of my favorites, and I made a weird like a while ago, Joe. I think I told you this, but like some friends were into Yu-Gi-Oh, so I went with them one day and I made like a deck of really cheap cards, like super cheap, like crazy cheap, of like fiends, like dark fiends and like fire types. So I have like fiend fire deck, so like Summon Skull I wanted to put in there because I was like, Summon Skull freaking rocks. Like, and that was before they had all their stupid special abilities. Like and that's the funny thing about the show, Joe. It's always like a trap card shows up, or it's like, you've activated my monster's special ability, and it's like, oh, some BS is about to happen. It's just like, I've gained 3,000 life points or something. It's just, yeah, it's very dramatic, but it's fun to watch.
Black Skull Dragon, I actually had it.
Yeah,
I was into it as a kid.
Oh, dude, like that was the next evolution. Like after you're out of Pokemon, like Yu-Gi-Oh was a bit more complex. And it was like a little more adult. Like it was kind of for the teens. So it was like, oh, it's kind of edgy, And yeah, cool game. All right, Joe. Let's move into the final segment of the show here. Community feedback and questions. Yeah, buddy. I asked everybody, our Legionnaires, their favorite city in Kanto from the original Pokemon games. Basically. First one comes in from Peyton, or P_Wiederspan here. He said, this is a very hard question. I think Cinnabar, it feels very rewarding to get to, and it feels like the start of the end game. Completely agree with you. I love freaking Cinnabar. It's my favorite. Joe, do you have a favorite one before we start? Favorite city back in the old day? Okay, that's fine. We'll go through some of these. This might be one of my favorite answers, though, too. Missile Mage said Celadon because, and then he did a gif of shopping because it's big. You do a bunch of shopping there. It's a good one. This is one you're going to see twice here, Joe. The Cal G says Lavender Town. That music is just too good. Also, the ghost-infested Pokemon Tower is pretty cool as well. And then Bad Gentleman, Andrew said, always been Lavender Town. Haunter for life. And the story there is just so good. Spooky stuff rules. Yeah, pretty cool. So people digging it. For me personally, it's Cinnabar. I've always loved Cinnabar. People have asked if like I had to start my Pokemon journey anywhere, it would be there with a Growlithe as like my Pikachu or Charmander or whatever your starter. And then we'd ferry to the mainland. I would have been trained by Blaine in the sciences and things. Yeah, that's how I would start my journey. Joe, I'd see you as like a Lavender Town kind of guy. Bunch of just like big freaking Pokemon Tower graveyard, and you'd have some ghost type Pokemon. You'd be like, yeah. That's where I belong.
That's probably all I do.
Dark, ominous, gritty, all those things.
Yep.
Our question this week comes in from Missile Mage. He asks us, hashtag Critical Podcast, or if you're on our Discord, it's on the Podcasts and Questions tab, so you should go check that out. But movies and video games often have fictional games or entertainment inside of them. War games from Ender's Game, Triple Triad from Final Fantasy VIII, etc. If you could experience one of these in real life, which would you like to experience? Joe, is there anything that come to mind to you?
A game that I'd like to play in real life that was a game within a game. Yeah. It's not a real game that I would like to play in real life.
Yeah. I've got a few if you want me to start.
Go for it, because I don't know if I have any.
Okay, I thought when I asked you at the beginning of the show today, I was like, oh, maybe he's got one because I thought you
No,
got
I knew the question. I mean, I get it. I just don't know that I've been exposed to any.
So one for me, I think like Final Fantasy X, they had this game called Blitzball, and it was basically like soccer and football under like in a big water sphere. It was pretty cool. Like the concept is really neat to me. Um, they've already made Gwent. I think we were just talking about Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's kind of a cheap one to pull, but like
Oh,
seriously, if Yu-Gi-Oh were a real thing and you could have those dual like um they're not even discs or whatever they have.
hologram
And
dealio.
yeah, you could play anywhere and like the monsters look real and you could fight in the streets and stuff. Like, oh my gosh, like that is really cool to me. Like that is an interesting prospect for sure. Um there was one other one I was thinking about. I think it'd be funny to play whatever first-person shooter that the kid in Grand Theft Auto 5 is playing. It's like some sort of like rip-off of Call of Duty. It's like Slayer or something, something or whatever. It's like horribly violent. And it's just like, I wonder what that game would really be like, or if Rockstar actually made the game in the game. And they're like, yeah, it's a real first-person shooter, but we just will never release it. It's just part of like you go in the kid's room and see him playing it. And you're like, oh, okay. It's probably playable now that I say that.
Dude, Griffball in real life.
Dude, I was gonna say Griffball was one.
Halo.
Dude,
Oh.
so weirdly, the history on that show, Joe, is that Red vs. Blue, which is like that like Halo show, like the people made, and it was kind of like a funny show. They made Griffball in that, and then people loved it so much that Bungie put it into Halo 3. Like, so it was such a popular like fan mod thing of
Yeah,
the game.
yeah.
And Griffball, I remember having so much fun at Griffball.
Oh, it's good. Strategy.
For anybody who doesn't know, it's like football if you added in gravity hammers and plasma swords, and you're just basically trying to get
It's
it.
more so like what do they call it? Not football, but the other rough and
Rugby.
tumble one, rugby. It's like rugby with gravity hammers and swords.
I guess, but you could throw this ball, right? Can you throw a ball rugby? Probably. I
Yeah,
don't know. Okay, sure.
yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a great game. Spawn camping. It's actually a legit strategy. Just find out where they are. Just it's like whack-a-mole. Just
Yeah.
wait for them.
You
Just
send one teammate to do that, the other one goes on to the goal, and the one guy gets the ball and passes.
yep. Yeah, Griffball though, and I think that's like the game that got your wife back into gaming or into gaming in a big way. Robot
Big time.
Ball. Yeah, that's what
She
she
called it
called it.
robot ball, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe I'll ask that next week for people. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, Joe, believe it or not, a little bit of a shorter show here today. Not as much news, but I just figured we kind of do this and chat about it. Hopefully next week we'll be back with a bunch of Red Dead Online information.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be good. But anyway, if you ever have a question or topic for the show, please tweet us anytime. Just tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast. You can tweet to either of us. You can tweet at the official account, which is at Go Critical. That is a capital G and a capital C. Or you can tweet at me personally. I'm a Jimmy Good 013. But if you'd like to tweet at Joe, you can tweet at
Lever_627. That's Lever just like Beaver, only with an L.
Perfect. I definitely think they heard that. Anyway. If you want to support us, consider checking out our Spreadshirt. That is a great way to do it. Get some cool merchandise for yourself, like a shirt, a hat, a mug, or something like that.
Good stuff.
We still need to like just get more of it and wear it like on the show. So we can actually be like, yeah, I need to.
I'm gonna just get a hat.
I'm just gonna get you a hat. We just need to be on the horn at the same time. I'll be like this hat, and you'll be like that hat. I'm like, good. I want to thank a few people who make the show possible. This is Dale for our intro, outro music, and the one and only Jorn Evers, who does almost all of the artwork here on the show. Jorn's working on something, and I'll read a brief synopsis of that right now. When David opens a mysterious box that transforms his arm into an alien weapon, he at first uses it for good to right the wrongs of his high school. But as more of his body is transformed, he finds that playing God comes with its own set of new, self-destructive perils. It's like Venom, Beats Chronicle, Blue Beetle, all those things.
Good stuff.
Go check them out at Naraj28 or at Jade Circle Art over on Twitter. But if you want to support Jorn and you want to support Joe and myself and Levi and everybody here at Critical Reviews and put food in our bellies and allow us to do things and be bigger and better all the time, consider donating even $1 at patreon.com/Critical Reviews. If you can't do that, just share us around. That's all I ask. Either way, Joe, thank you so much for being on this episode. I love having you, buddy. It's always just good, just in the old school duo, baby.
Thank you, Jimmy. It's always a pleasure, pal. It's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I just went and clicked the link to our merch store, your merch store, and dude, It's actually very reasonably priced and a lot of variety.
I
Heck, they even
tried
have a coffee mug on here, man.
I tried to make that there be variety and not be too expensive, just for a little like inside baseball. I only got to dictate like a little bit of what the actual design price is because a lot of these things, for instance, if a t-shirt's like $20, I get to decide if it's like between like a little like a couple cents or zeros for the actual design up to like however much I want to add on top of that. So all of those designs are trying to be pretty close to what the actual just like the shirt or whatever the thing is. So I tried to keep it there. So if you're interested in buying something, hopefully it won't be something that would like break your bank account. It's not like I'm like, well, the CR logo itself should be worth $30 at least, so a shirt becomes like $50. It's like nothing like that.
But where do you get a hoodie that's worthwhile? That's only like $36.
Yeah, and that's thankfully like Katie, my sister slash community manager, she got one of those and she really likes it, and it's really nice quality. And she tricked it out, and you could trick it out even further. She has like the CR here, and then she put critical reviews like on the back of it too. So she paid a bit more for it to add that stuff. But
Did she get a zip up though?
She got a zip up. Yeah.
Is there a zip up here? Where is that?
There should be a zip up there. Yeah, you can manipulate that. There's also a difference between the Spreadshirt shop and then like the marketplace. One is like allows you to manipulate a little bit more, so it's very confusing.
There's a lot of color choices too. You can really twist it up a little bit.
Yeah, well, I wanted people to like to have that. I mean, like the logo is always going to stay the same, but if you want like a blue hat or something, go for it.
It's a cool blue. It's not like standard blue. It's
closer to like a turquoisey almost.
It's all citrus.
It's also, which, by the way, some more inside information here, but Joe's wife, Haley, was the one who designed the It's All Citrus logo and stuff, and it's one of my favorites, and I really, really need to just buy that shirt because I know I'd wear it constantly, especially just like a gray. Oh, the black would be good, too. I just have a lot of dogs. So
I like the black hoodie. There's even a nice long sleeve tee. That's cool. The It's All Citrus, I remember that. She had all these options laid out in tiles, and okay, which one you like, and it was a cool little concept, and that's your slogan, man. It's all citrus.
It's all citrus, baby. That just means, for anyone who doesn't know what that means, it just means it's all good. Haley, by the way, is like she was so easy to work with on these things because she just like her turnaround time was insanely fast, and she's always just like, hey, what's up? Hi, what's going on? I'm like, eh.
Yeah, she's pretty good at it. She just recently designed a logo for an attorney.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, real cool. It turned out really nice too.
She also designed our game of the year for 2016, our thumbnail for that one.
Oh yeah. Blended it all together. That Photoshop does some crazy stuff.
It does do crazy stuff. I just wish it wasn't so freaking expensive. Like Adobe Premiere Pro by itself is already expensive. And they're like, oh, if you want two of these things, it's gonna cost you. And I'm like,
so she's a professional photographer, right? So, and she does the graphic design on the side, but she kind of needs a new computer here pretty quick, and she doesn't want to do it. She's trying to like stick with the current Mac she has as long as she can because she has to go out and like buy the software again, and all her like set what do they call them, set filters or processes will be lost.
Oh yeah.
It's a whole thing. So yeah, that is expensive stuff to do that profession. But
yeah, I'm sorry, Haley. We still love you. You're great.
Yeah, same for you with your editing software. That stuff gets pricey.
It does. But thankfully, people who are watching this have helped do a really good job of funding at least just the video editing stuff. So I try to make Premiere into my own Photoshop sometimes. So I'm just like, I'm gonna just kind of like put this over here, and then I'm gonna use the snipping tool. So some of the things don't look the best. Just remember, I've done all of this in Premiere with the snipping tool. So
basically what I did is I went in the loop and I segued right back into thank you to anyone who supports us, because Jimmy is able to do some pretty cool stuff. And you think it's simple what we do, but I mean, Jimmy does a lot of hard work to make these things. So
also one of the hardest ones we ever did was a collaboration, Joe, with the Alien review. That's like the hardest review I've ever put together.
Yeah. The longest movie review in CR history.
I loved it because you talked about the history of the Alien franchise, so it forced me to go get old like trailers from Alien, and that was fun to look at because I was like, look at these old trailers. I was like, this is cool.
Speaking of, I know we're on the closing out of the podcast, but
who cares? Who's listening at this point?
You know what I sent this to you in a message. What we should have seen for the hybrid dinosaur in Fallen Kingdom should have been the Xenomorph Rex.
The Xenorex. It would have been so bad.
Yeah, look it up sometime, somebody. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it is nuts. I kind of would have been angry at that point. I'd be like, well, they're just doing whatever.
I know. It's kind of a joke, but it is crazy looking.
We still have to have you watch Predator, Joe, the most recent Predator.
It's out now. I might rent it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not great. Anyway, yeah. But thank you. Thanks to everybody who's listened to this point. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for hanging out with us. And until next week, just remember to adapt and overcome. Bye-bye.